What is up everyone, and welcome back to Motorsport Manager. Here we are with Predator Racing, the worst of the worst, and as you can see we are currently sitting first place in the drivers standings. Still, I really don't know how, and we've dropped down to third place in the team standings after Alexia Pernette somehow managed to crash her car in the last race. So we're looking a bit shaky. We didn't even get our sponsor target. That's why we are well and truly in the red at minus 2 million, which is a bit of a worry. Anyway, we're going to jump straight into it. The Munich GP is in 5 days, so let's get straight on with it. Just before we jump into this race weekend, last time out I mentioned that we were going to hold off from accepting this play sport sponsor offer until just before the race in case we got any more. As you can see, we haven't got any more offers, so we're going to accept this. Ideally, in the next race, which is in the United Kingdom, we'll get a really good result. Then we'd get 1.8 million for our race target. So we're going to accept that, get a little bit of money up front, and now we can get into our race. So here we are for the German Grand Prix. We're in the practice session. I think it was meant to be raining, but it actually looks like it's going to be dry for once, which is good, which means I'm going to take this practice session. I'm not going to make you guys sit through and watch it because it's literally just going to be me doing laps. So let's get into it. So here we are after practice. I did say I was going to take it, but then somehow self-consciously I managed to misclick and click instant results. So maybe next time I'll actually get into the practice session. But as you can see, we did finish 11th and 18th, which isn't too bad. I would want an improvement in the race though. As you can see, in terms of the strategy, we have a 25 lap race. Most likely we're going to have to do 2 stints of 8 laps, 1 of 9 laps. We can fuel the car max up to 10 laps. And Wilhelm, with his little bonus here of light-footed soft tyres, that should easily be able to take us through to the end of the race. I'm hoping for a good result here, and yeah, let's just get into it and see how we can do. As always, we look at the grids and we are starting last, but 9th this time because Pernette is gradually dropping down the championship. So 9th and 20th, we're going to start both our drivers off pushing and high on their fuel. Let's get off to a decent start for once. So we are midway through the second lap and we are still sitting in 18th with Hume, 15th with Pernette. 2 people actually pitted on the first lap and I don't even think it was for damage, so there's some really weird tactics going on here, but we'll see if they work out for them later on. We're now a fifth of the way through the race and we're just kind of sitting around more or less at the back of the grid. There's a lot of cars in front of us, as you will be able to see, and I wouldn't really say we're challenging too much. Wilhelm is starting to now, but I think we're just going to try and sit here for a while and see if anything happens out front. So the safety car has actually just come out after only 6 laps. I think I'm actually going to take a risk and pit both our drivers now. I'm going to fuel Wilhelm up to the max 10 laps. He should be able to survive on these tyres because he has that bonus. And I'm going to go for a fast pit stop, whereas Pernette, most likely not so much. So I'm going to chuck her on a set of mediums to make sure she can get the full 10 laps out of the tyres, because that's more or less where we're going to have to be now. She's on a fast pit stop as well, so ideally we won't have any issues with our pit stops, and this will be a master stroke once again. As you can see, that master stroke that I decided to say about didn't turn out as much of a master stroke because everybody on the whole entire grid literally had the exact same idea. They have also pitted, so we did actually make up quite a few places with Hume in the pit race, which is a good start, but we probably should have been a little bit different at least. The safety car is about to come back in. We've decided that our drivers should push here to get their tyre temperatures up. Let's see if we can get a good restart. By the looks of it, we haven't dropped any positions as of yet, and Wilhelm is looking in a relatively good position to get close to the top 7. We've actually just had a very bad lap, and as you can see, Hume has dropped down to 15th place. We lost a lot of places very quickly, literally in a couple of corners, which is disappointing. Pernette's all the way down in 18th, so it is looking like a real struggle for us now. I think this lap is probably the best time to bring Pernette into the pits. 9 laps, the perfect amount for this stint, just like we did last time out. We seem to be decent on tyres, just not so much on fuel. So that'll get her to the end of the race. I think we're going to have to fix these brakes as well. And yeah, she's going to drop more or less down to 18th, so she's more or less out of it so far. Pernette had a very good pit stop, didn't change the fact that she's out in 18th. On the other hand, we have Will Hume, who is literally bolting it around this track at the moment. It's very close on fuel, but we're going to pit him in now, and he will be able to do 8 laps very easily on this next set of tyres. So we're just going to fuel him up. I'm not sure where he's going to come out, around about 11th I think, but if we do a good pit stop, maybe a bit further up. Alright, so our pit stop was actually very good, and I think they were right about 11th. Yes, they were. In fact, no, they were wrong. We're down in 13th, which is very disappointing actually, because I thought we might even get higher than 11th. We ended up coming out lower. Hume's just made like a fantastic overtaking manoeuvre to get him up to 11th. I'm not sure if any of the people in front need to pit again, because they might have fueled themselves a little short. If they do, we're in a really good seat. If not, it might be quite tough to catch up to the rest of the guys. We are definitely on the better tyres, so that's a benefit for sure, but I'm not sure how much we can catch up. 22 laps into the race, and a few people out front are actually deciding to pit. As you can see, Jar, as I'll say, Jar, from I think it's Garuda, he's basically our title rival. He pitted, come out just in front of us, so if these other guys do pit, we might actually be in line for this top 7 place. One of the drivers from further up has just pitted, so as you can see, we're right on the back of this group of drivers, and we are actually looking pretty good. We might be able to get something out of this here. We've just dropped down to 9th place, but there's a group of 5 drivers in front of us here. It's the last lap 2. We've just made up into 7th. We might even be able to get up to 5th here, which is absolutely crazy. I wasn't keeping an eye on the fuel either, and we are actually very, very, very low. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get to the end here. I might have done ourselves over right at the end. 0.2, 0, and I'll class that as perfect. We managed to finish 6th with Will Hume, and Pernette didn't do a bad job either. She finished in 13th, which is a really good recovery drive, considering we probably did mess up her strategy a bit. But anyway, we managed to get our sponsor objective, which means more or less again damage limitation with the money situation. We're only going to lose a tiny bit, and we've got a great opportunity next time out at the United Kingdom Grand Prix. So scrutineering is going now. Hopefully someone else might have broken a rule so we can move up the odd place. And no, it doesn't look like it. Pernette actually did move up 1. So that is good. And it's a relatively decent amount of points. Garuda Racing are for sure going to win this title this year. But you can't really expect us to do that. So we are actually tied for first place. It means we're not actually going to start as low down. We're going to start 19th instead of 20th now, which is at least a little bit beneficial. Looking at the finances after that race, Darren Luff once again won't be too happy, but as you can see, we are just about under 2 million in debt, which isn't too bad. Most likely we are going to be relying on that initial sponsorship money in the first place to actually get us anywhere. The World Sports Network wants an interview with us. Hank Lippman, we're going to answer what he has to ask us, and as we can see, apparently it was a very testing weekend for Will Hume. I don't think it was. It was actually a good day, I think, altogether. So I'm going to say it's his time to bounce back. I don't think our marketability can actually go up any higher. That's why it's stuck at that level. Pernette struggled, finishing down in 12th. I'm going to say she'll bounce back again. It'll make her morale better. And that is all. By the looks of things, it is time for another GMA vote. This time it's on 31 lap races on average. And I would say I don't really have too much of a preference, to be honest. Apparently, because we're low quality teams, it wouldn't help us. So I'm not really sure why, to be honest. I guess quality or reliability, I imagine. To be fair, our parts are going to be better next year, so it doesn't really bother me. I think I'm going to abstain and save my vote for another time. Skipping to the end of this, I'm really not bothered what happens at all, and it was rejected, so it's going to stay the same as it is currently. It really doesn't bother me in the slightest. We've just had news that our factory staff have finished our reliability work, and if we take a look here, yes, our 2 components are both on 100%. I don't know if there's any point me improving them anymore. I think we can. It will be done 3 days before the next race, which is very good as well. And then Wilhelm's car will be as good as it possibly can. Then we can probably move on to Pernet's, because she does need a little bit better performance because her car is very poor, and that's down to us so far. Anyway, I think it is actually time to leave it here for today. As you can see, anyway, I think it's actually time for us to leave it here today. As you can see, Wilhelm will claim that he's still leading the championship. He's tied first with Beauchamp from Garuda Racing. We're definitely not going to win the title because Garuda have 2 top drivers and 2 top cars, whereas we're kind of 2 top drivers, only 1 decent car. So we're going to struggle a bit, but it's fine. Next time out we have the UK Grand Prix. We've got the opportunity to get a sponsor bonus as well, which will give us a lot more money, ideally putting us back in the green. But yeah, if you enjoyed today's video, remember to drop a like on it, leave me any comments, give me any advice, anything you want to see, subscribe if you want, and I will see you all on the next video.